I know a lot of people sort of have that point of view, like, well, you should be happy now that you've got your dream, now that you're working in the music industry, now that you're the, professional hockey player. And you said to me, we were in this car, and you said to me, but I was fucking depressed.
Yeah.
What if the whole entire world could wake up and literally be happy? Like literally be happy, not pretend to be happy, but be happy. Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast, where you get to choose, change and take action to create a different today and a different future. So hello, everybody. Welcome to Choice, Change and Action podcast. You're with me, your host, Simone Milasas. And today we have the amazing, lovely gentleman, Indalecio Lopez from Argentina, except you are now in Costa Rica. Welcome, Indalecio.
Yay. Thank you so much, Simone. Thank you so much.
So we're actually both at El Lugar in Costa Rica. And if you're on my Telegram thread, you probably would have seen videos and photos, etc. If you're not, it's called Engage with Simone. You know what? And we just have a whole bunch of different things on there about, I don't know, different places around the world or what's happening. And you can go to SimoneMilasas.com/Telegram. But I've been doing a video in there every day because I am here for 39 nights. Indalecio is here a lot because he is living in the staff quarters at the moment because he's working here. So you get to wake up on this beautiful, beautiful property here. And we were just in Colombia. I was doing a Choice for Possibilities class there. And I was talking to Indalecio about how he came across Access Consciousness and how he came across bars. And bars is one of the hands-on processes that we have available, which is phenomenal. If you've never heard of bars, please go find yourself a practitioner or a facilitator and get your bars run. It's 32 different points on the head. And basically, when you're touching those points on the head, you start to eliminate and eradicate and delete all of those thoughts, feelings, and emotions that go with all of the junk and the crap and the shit that's not yours, basically. That's the short version explanation. It just feels fucking great getting your bars run. So anyway, I was talking to Indalecio, and it's interesting for me because there's so many people I get to work with or I get to meet, and you don't always know their quote unquote story of how they, came across Access. And this month we actually have it's Mental Health Awareness Month, day, etc. And there's campaigns all over the world. Like Australia has a massive campaign of, are you okay? And the basic premises of that is it's okay to ask your friends, are you okay? Like I actually texted a friend last night and said, hey, are you good? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Because I could so perceive something different in their world. And they said, yeah, I'm good. Maybe I'll talk to you tomorrow, but I'm going to go to sleep, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, but what if we did reach out to more people and just said, hey, are you okay? What's up? And there are so many tools in Access Consciousness to contribute to your mental health and your days so that they can become better and better and greater and greater. And so let's start, Indalecio. You grew up in Argentina. Whereabouts in Argentina did you grow up?
I grew up in Salta. It's a city on the north of Argentina. It's a little city. Is like religion there is very kind of like a main thing. So that was like also interesting for me. And yeah, so we were talking that day on the car in Colombia, and we were like talking about how I kind of like get to Access. And if I see my life like 5 years ago and how my life is going now, like I'm like, wow, like now, like it's so interesting how I and yeah found the bars, or the bars found me. And this topic that we are mentioning as well, that asking a friend if this okay, the first conversation that I had with someone very close to me, that was my aunt, that I also talked to you about it. It was, I called her and I asked her like, hey, like, I told her like, hey, I am not okay. And that's the first time that I ever told someone like, hey, I am not perfect. You know, like, cause let's go
I was
back.
going to say, let's go
Yeah,
back because we're
yeah,
going right forward here.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
because you were
So
living in Italy.
yeah, so I finished the university in Argentina. So I was a hockey professional player. At that time I had like 24, 25 years old, and so I was playing hockey and field and in Italy and in a club there in Rome. I was living in Rome, and it like this moment that you are like, oh, this is my dream come true. You are like, yeah, this is like whatever I wanted on my life. Yes, let's do it. So I went there, I played for a few months and hockey there, and then after like a few months I was like, okay, like what's next, you know, like, okay, this dream is like done. This is like literally like this is it. And I was like, okay, but what's next, you know, like, because it was my dream for my entire life. But I was like, okay, like I need something else. I need something else. I need something else. And and my family was like, okay, but you are there, you need to enjoy there. It's like your dream is there. But I was like, yeah, but I'm getting bored. I'm like, I need something different. I need
Well,
like
let's
something.
let's I get that you needed something different, but the way you were talking to me as well is, and I think this shows up for a lot of people around the world, is that they have these dreams, they have these desires, they have these, I guess like an answer to how they think that their life should be. Like, I know for myself, I remember working in the music industry and I just come across access consciousness, and I was working in the music industry and I loved music my whole life. And all of a sudden I'm at these, events, these concerts, and I've got, triple A access all areas passes, and, I everything was there. And, going to the after parties and things like that. And I remember thinking, this is it? Like, this is not as fulfilling as what I thought it should be. And I know a lot of people sort of have that point of view, like, well, you should be happy now that you've got your dream, now that you're working in the music industry, now that you're the, professional hockey player. And you said to me, we were in this car, and you said to me, but I was fucking depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk more
And
about that. And
yeah, and it's so funny because, you know, like with this kind of like image of the dream and being perfect and living, you know, for an Argentinian people, like living in Europe, like, you know, like get paid by euros and everything, it's like a big deal. It's like something that you want to have, that attach that, and, you know, like not change that. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, like what should I choose now? Because I have all these kind of like people telling me that I need to keep choosing this, but this is not making me happy now. This is like, I start also kind of like asking myself, like, okay, like, what is this energy? And I got that I was so depressed, but it was like kind of like for 3 years, I was very depressed, but I was hiding that. I was like, okay, I will keep playing hockey. I will keep like being perfect, but I will not look this depression or this anxiety. And see, when I was living alone in Rome, everything that kind of like explode. And I was also at that time trying to fix it, and trying, I was doing also and kind of like going to a psychology therapist and everything. And I was like, this is this depression, it was like for 3 years with me,
mm,
these kind of like voices. And I would like to also, yeah, like I had these voices all the time telling me like, you know, like if you are not playing hockey anymore, that's it, like this is the your only kind of like life that you deserve or you have, so there is nothing else. And I have all these voices all the time, every day, waking up with all these voices, all this depression, anxiety. And and at that moment I was like, okay, like this is like I want to change this, like this could like not, this is couldn't like be my life. This is like need to be like, there is to be something else here,
mhm.
that maybe, you know, like my family, these therapists that I was seeing, they don't have this answer, but I know that there is something else there that I can reach, that I can ask. And I didn't know what was it at that time. And then every day I start kind of like having this energy, or like, hey, like, okay, like, what can I do different? Okay, what can I really like? My ask at that time was like, I need to have something different here, because this like everything is so beautiful around, because I was seeing nature, I was seeing my body, and even like new acts at that time, but I was seeing all this kind of like magic happen around, but I feel all this depression, this anxiety, this I had list of many things. I had like panic attacks, depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, like all these lists every day in my life, every day working out with this energy, every day with, like, and also I had this hope, like, okay, I think that I should have something different. I should like, okay, what can I do different to change that? And I tried so many things. I was keep doing this psychology there. I was trying meditation, yoga, many things to change that, because I was like, this is could be like, it's like I need to have something else. And so was one point that I was like, keep playing hockey at the same time. And I was like, okay, like I try all the kind of like normal things, like you can try to change something. I tried all these things that my family recommended. I tried all these things that the therapist recommended. And the change was like 1% of the energy that was perceived that I could change. I was like, I know that I could change this, but I don't know how, or like how, I don't know, like nothing to have to do, or have different here. So I was there, and I was like, one day, okay, like, who is the weirdest person ever that I know? Who is this person that is like so weird that maybe she can have something for me? What, like, who is that person? It's like, okay, I have an aunt in Argentina that she is that weirdo that, in the Christmas party or whatever, you don't want, like in the past, you don't want to sit with her next to her, because she will start talking about the universe and how the universe contribute to you, and questions. And at, before that, in my family were like, oh, like you don't want to sit with the crazy aunt, because she was like start talking about the universe, and she would not stop, but she was happy. So she was like this
No.
energy that she was happy.
Yeah.
So I was like, who is the happy person? And weird that I know that she can have something for me. I try all the normal things. I tried all the yeah, the things that people told me like I should try. Okay, let's try it. So I called her, and we didn't have any kind of like that time a close relationship. We like just like I was her nephew, and that's it. But when I called her, she responded the phone immediately. She was like, boom, like not even one ring. She's like, boom. It's just like 1 a.m. for her, because I was in Europe, and she's like, what's happened? I was like, hi, do you know I have all these depression, anxiety? I put on my list of things. And she's like, oh, that's funny. Okay. She said, like, I know a tool. I learned a tool, an energetic tool that is called access bars. And for me, it kind of like helped me so much. She works with energy, and she did like energy work for, I don't know, like more than 30 years. So she's like, these sessions of access bars kind of like put all my knowledge and all this work that I did in one session of 1 hour. So try it and see how that works. And I was like, bars? They're like metal bars. They like pinch in the head. I was like, what they do? Okay, I would try it. And I said like, but how? And she said like, I don't know, like look for someone close by that can run your bars. So I call some Google, like I went to Google, and I put like access bars, Rome, Pim, and was one lady close to the area that I was living there, and I text her and, hey, like, you do access bar, and she's she speak Italian, and I speaks Spanish. So the communication was so funny. We didn't like, do you need a session? What do you need? And then we arranged the session, and I went to her place. I saw a massage table there. I was like, should I go there? Like, what is this? And she's
Am I
like, yeah.
taking my clothes off? Am I, yeah.
Like, I know that this is relaxing, but no, it's like, so she's like, yeah, like she kind of like guide me through the massage table. So I lay down there for, I would say, like, yeah, 1 hour. I wasn't like feeling anything. I was just like cold, and that's it. I felt like very cold. I was like, okay. And she even like, she didn't speak anything. She was like no word on the session, just
Yeah.
like the session. She was like, okay, is this a good thing that she's not speaking? This is, like, I was like, what is this? And the session ends, and I was like, okay, thank you so much. I went to my place. I was just like, I think that, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I don't feel anything. I am like, I didn't see the energy, and I didn't see like nothing strange here. She was a completely regular, normal person.
Yeah.
So it's not like these witches. So it's like, okay. And so after a week, I was like, something is so weird in my universe. This is something
Yeah.
so, that, what is this? And I realized that at that time I had like every day a panic attack, at least when I was like around people, because I was this like social thing happening that I couldn't like go to the street. I was like hiding in my place for, I don't know, for an entire week. I was like just,
Wow.
and I realized at that time that I didn't have any panic attack from that session.
Hmm.
And for me, that was a miracle. Like, for me, really, like, I was not having this amount of anxiety on my body. I was like, what I did different? I was like, I received this session, and from that session I never like got that, this like anxiety thing. I was like, wow, okay. And then of course, I was like, who create this thing? Like, I was like, went to the computer and start like Googling and like exploring. I was like, oh, there is a class. Oh, there is like, you can take more sessions. So then I start like, like receiving more sessions, and I took a class. And from that moment, like, I don't know, I think like I trade bars for a week with another person for 3 months. And I will say, like, during that process, like, I didn't get back to that point of depression,
Hmm.
anxiety, and all these voices on my head that they are like very loud. I know that if someone has these voices, or they had these voices, they know that what I'm talking about, when there are those voices so loud around you,
Mm.
literally keep receiving bars, like literally reduce all this noise around. And I was like, wow, like, and I keep receiving it, and I also now keep receiving it, because for me there is not an end or a destination, but having this tool and this energy for me was life changing. And I always say, like, like, trust in the energy save my life, trusting what I know also, because I had this knowing about, like, there is something else possible here.
Mm.
Maybe all these people around, they don't have the answer for me, they don't have like what will change me, but what do I know, like, what do I know that I can explore. And I'm so grateful with my crazy aunt, because
Your crazy happy aunt.
my crazy, yeah, crazy weird happy aunt, and that she, and yeah, give me this tool as well. And always, like, we are together, now in Christmas, now we are the both of us, the crazy on the table and the happy ones, totally fine with it. And but always we have so much, like, we are laughing about it, like, the like she remember, like, she's, I remember you that time, you are like all like with this confusion in your world, I
Mm.
was like, great. I was like, even have color in my skin. I can show you pictures if you want. It's like the massive change. I was like, yeah, like now I have like color in my skin. I had like literally like I'm alive. At that time, and I
Yeah.
was like just surviving and trying to change something that a lot of people and also specialists will say, they say that it was very difficult to change. Because also at that time, they kind of like recommend me like pills, antidepressant, and a lot of things that I was like, I don't know if this is the way for me. At least I want to try something different. So that's where like also went to this kind of like tools and energetic stuff that for me saved and changed my life.
Profit is how much living you can create when you are willing to create a bigger life. Please join my latest and very low cost membership with me, Simone Milasas, at the Profit Club. SimoneMilasas.com/Profit Club. Thank you, Indalecio. I love this story, and I'm asking that, like, if you're listening to this podcast, I mean, I know a lot of the listeners I have done a lot of access consciousness classes, and some have not, and some have got their bars run, and some have not, and it's such a great invitation to look at your life, because so many people have a projection and an expectation of how your life should be. Oh, you've got XYZ, you should be happy. Whether it's like you have, a partner and kids now, you should be happy. You have a good job, you're a professional athlete, you're blah, 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 like all these things. Now you should be happy. And you're trying so desperately to pretend that you're happy. Like me in the music industry. I mean, I was happy to an extent, but I'll never forget this one guy who was in the music industry, and I'd known him for quite some time. And he said to me, "How are you enjoying being on tour?" Because I was on tour around Australia with some Australian artists. And I looked at him and I went, "I don't know if this is what I want to be on tour for." And I said, "I've just discovered this stuff called access consciousness." Because I like traveling and I liked being in these different areas. But I was like, I don't know if I want to be going to music concerts for this. I think I want to be on tour with something else. And here I am 24 years later, and I'm definitely on tour with access consciousness all the time. So what I'm going to ask is that if you're listening to this, if there's any area of your life that you're pretending to be happy, what if you stopped for a moment and asked what else is possible? Because I love the way Indalecio says, uh, his counselor and also his family, they weren't giving him an answer. They weren't giving him, like, he wasn't finding something with that, but he knew that there was something else. And I really love the fact, Indalecio, that you reached out to the person that goes into the weird category, but she also went into the happy category. Which, do we not find that friggin' interesting? That because someone's happy, they go into the weird category, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, what if the whole entire world could wake up and literally be happy? Like literally be happy, not pretend to be happy, but be happy. So if any situation that you're in, go get your bars run. There are bars practitioners and facilitators all over the world, so you can go to a bars class, or you can just go get your bars run as well. It's fun when you go to a bars class, then you meet other people who do bars too, because as Indalecio says, you can swap bars, etc. I'm doing that later today, and it just makes your life so much easier. It Like you said, for you had these, panic attacks, this anxiety, the voices, etc. And all of that starts to dissipate when you get your bars run in a
Yeah.
big way.
And like that was my ask. Like, how can I dissipate this? Like, this could be like my entire life until I retire when I had 60, like this could be like everything. And something to add as well, like you mentioned as well about like if there is something that you like to try. For example, I tried to be a hockey professional player. I had a taste of it, okay, and then I was like, okay, what's next? And that's totally fine as well.
Mm.
Sometimes we think that that's the only thing that we should be do or keep what we say that out loud to everyone, but there will be something that you can taste, try, and that's it. And it's not about what you are doing, it's about what you are being. And for me, that was the gift. I was always trying to look something external to to be complete, or to have the externals looks or everything from outside. And then with these tools and access, and my choice was like, wow, what can I be? And nobody can take me that I am being and I be.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that too, Indalecio. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've been using access consciousness tools for 24 years. And, I woke up this morning and I've had my fair share of vilification. And I woke up this morning and I had some text from someone who is just accusing me of all these different things. And I was like, it actually tweaked me slightly this morning. And so I went, I mean, at El Lugar, it's such a contribution. And I went, okay, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go for a jog. So I did. And then I went up and saw my horse. She was so funny. I walked into her stall and usually she's like, hi, ears are forward. And she's like, like, do you have a snack? No. Okay. Pat me, whatever. And I walked into her stall and she was like, her ears just went straight back. And she looked at me like, who the fuck are you? And I'm standing in her stall and I was like, and I started talking to her because I talked to her. And then her ears are still back and she was still looking at me and I went, shit, I am not even close to being me right now. And in her world, she's like, I don't know who this is. Like, who are you being? And so I stood there with her for a couple of minutes and chatted to her and I was like, thank you so much. Because no matter what is happening around you, no matter whose point of view you hear or the expectations or projections that other people have of you, like with Indalecio, that he's got this amazing opportunity to play professional hockey in Italy and doing all this. He's like, quote unquote, living the dream and he should be happy and all of this, or like you said, what you should be doing. And for me this morning, I was like, lost that moment of like being me. And if you just take a moment wherever you are and like, for me, nature is a really good way to show me, or my horse or something like that, to ask that question, if I was being me right now, what would I choose? And not to make other people's projections and expectations relevant. So what would happen if you stopped making everybody else's point of view relevant about what you choose, and you start to choose for you, and you start to be you, no matter what it takes and no matter what it looks like. And everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, compare all names, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. That's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, which is a friggin' miracle when you use it. And if you want to find out more, you can go to theclearingstatement.com with that as well. Because you get to wake up. I mean, Indalecio, you get to wake up and be Indalecio Lopez. I get to wake up and be Simone Milasas. Like, if you're listening to this, you get to wake up and be who you are. Who is that? What is that for you? What if you were choosing your greatest day yet, like ever so far, and every single day you are in question of like, what else is truly possible today? In any area of your life that you've decided there's something that's impossible, stop. Okay, if I didn't have the point of view that it was impossible, what would be possible here? What can I receive today that I wasn't willing to receive yesterday? And that's on you. It's not on anybody else. You cannot rely on anybody else to give you an answer, or to give you an answer, or to tell you what you should be choosing, because you are the one that knows what you choose and when you choose it, and if it's actually working for you. So I love that you reached out to your aunt, Indalecio, and you are here today, and you are such a gift. Like, you're such a gift to me and to many others, and with what you're doing here in El Lugar and with Access and everything. And I'm so incredibly grateful for you. So thank you for choosing to be you, and you more and more and more and more and more each and every day.
Yeah, and thank you for this invitation and this space. For me, it's very cool because when I was there and I hear these stories, I was just like, those guys are lying. Like, you can change so easily, And I'm here, share this. I'm like, wow, like, yes, you can change if you choose it, if you are committed with it, and that's a huge gift to acknowledge.
Yeah, when you say committed to it as well, what I would sort of say with that is you have to commit to yourself. It's yourself. It's not your partner, it's not your kids, it's not your parents, it's not your friends, it's to yourself. Are you being true to you today with what actually works for you? And be willing to ask those big questions of yourself, and see what shows up. So is there anything else, Indalecio, that you would like to leave the listeners with?
I would say like also Access has so many free content and free tools out there, like for example this podcast. And also when I start, like like had my bars run and everything, I also started listening all the content and asking all those questions that you guys give on YouTube and everywhere. So people think that because they are free, maybe they are like not like, like, oh, they're free, that they will not work. But trust me that those tools, those questions, if you start like using those tools right now, like your life will be so much different and you can receive so much from all that quote unquote free content. But for me, it's like magic content out there. So just like
Yeah.
take it.
So let me give two tools right now. One is asking the question of who does this belong to? Because we are in this, month of, so Access has this, I love it, this campaign of you're not as fucked up as you think you are. And we did a podcast, not last week, the week before, with myself, David Kubis, and Megan Hill, talking about that, and how there's different areas in our life that we so thought we were fucked up, and there's many more, and you're actually not. You're not. The first time I ever went to one of the more advanced classes, Choice for Possibilities, which I now facilitate, was with Gary Douglas, and I didn't hear anything he was saying. My life was changing, and the only thing I remember hearing him say was, "You are not as fucked up as you think you are." And I got my pen and I wrote it down in my manual, and I went, "I am not as fucked up as I think I am." And that's what I went with. I went, "Okay, I'm going with that." Like that was my starting point. Let's just start there. So, and if you are, have panic attacks or anxiety or anything like that, ask this question: who does this belong to? Okay. Because we become so aware of other people's realities, and then we start to buy that as ourselves. Like a couple of days ago, I had this really intense day of judging my body so much. And I was talking to Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, and um, I went, I haven't done that in a really long time, like just judged everything about my body. And he went, was it yours? So simple. And I went, oh no, it wasn't. It's like there was, people around me who were judging their bodies. That's okay, right? But the piece is that stop buying it as yours, because I have not done that in so long. And you name it, and I was judging it, sort of thing. And I went, God, this is really hard work and quite exhausting and not much fun. So who does this belong to? Because you pick up the thoughts, feelings, and emotions from everybody and start to buy it as yours. What if it's not? Okay. So if it lightens up, it's not yours. Okay. And you can just say, pock and pot everything that is, or as it lightens up, who does this belong to? Ask, if I was choosing my reality right now, what would I choose? What can I be? Okay. I've done a podcast on personalities, which you can have a look at. And we talk a lot about that too, because if you're choosing to have this like vibration and this engagement as a personality rather than being you, it creates a huge difference too. Also, I just want to give you one more tool, and Indalecio, if you want to do this as well, is one of the implant bands that we have. It's called the implant band. And if you just feel like, the best thing is to get somebody else to run your bars, right? And yet next best thing, quite often I'll lie in bed and I'll just run my implant band. And if you feel behind your ear, you've got that like that bone area, right? That sort of, it goes the same shape as your ear. And then if you feel below that, and then just like pop, like it's almost like a little divot just behind that, and put your hands on your implant band and just ask for all, because it's got to do with all the implanted points of view in this lifetime and any other lifetime that you have bought that are yours when they're not. Because we are infinite beings. It's like we don't always choose it. Heck, we choose small life, finite being, and yet we are an infinite being. We are so much greater than what you've been willing to acknowledge. And what if today was the day that you started to acknowledge the greatness of you and you stopped hiding? from the greatness of you, no matter what it takes and no matter what it looks like. So you can run your implant band just there. And, if you're like, I don't know where it is, just move your fingers around a little bit and just go, you'll be this moment that you just go, oh, that's it. Okay. And get your bars run. Find someone, get your bars run, and you can start with this as well. So this is the implant look.
It's
Cool.
so good. Like, wow. Like,
It does. It feels good, doesn't it? We're both like,
like, oh,
yeah. So, Indalecio, thank you so much for being on here. As usual, it's like my day has been a little weird today, and even just doing this podcast is changing the energy for me as well. Because as you be you, you do change the energy around you. So instead of pretending that you're happy or pretending something, when you be you, you receive more, you have more. So thank you, Indalecio. I am super, super grateful for you being here.
it's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
And do you have a profile on the Access Consciousness site? We'll list your Instagram and everything also on the show notes.
Yeah, it's Indalecio Lopez, and you can find me in the Access profile because, you met people like I did when I found bars. I did it through the Access website, and literally that's the website also saved my life. So just check it out.
Yeah, and reach out to him on Instagram. And he's amazing at bars. He's run my bars a few times, and I'm super, super grateful for it. So maybe book a bar session with Indalecio as well. And if you like this show, please, can you subscribe? Can you share it? Leave a review if you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening to this on YouTube. Leave a review. I'd be so incredibly grateful, because my desire is that more people can find some tools and find that space that they can have more of them and be them. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. And Indalecio, again, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform to get notified of new episodes. We read all the reviews, so if there's any topic you would like to hear about, let us know. If you'd like to know more about the tools, information, and classes mentioned in the podcast, head on over to SimoneMilasas.com and follow me on Instagram at Simone Milasas, or the podcast has its very own link on Instagram at Choice, Change, and Action. Don't forget, you can download the show notes. And lastly, have way too much fun today.